Okay. Well, everyone, welcome to Ransom Place meeting number 2, part of the Neighborhood Street Traffic Calming Program. My name is David Greaves. I work for Kinley Horn, and we are working with NDOT on this project. So today is September 7th, 2023, and this meeting is being held virtual only, so no in person, and we will have a recording posted to NDOT's YouTube channel. I believe that most people on this meeting have attended at least one traffic calming meeting before, so we'll spend some time on the program overview, but not overdo it. But by all means, feel free to interrupt with any questions. We've got a pretty small group here tonight, so feel free to just come off mute or raise your hand. Also on the phone is Lan. Lan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Lan Lee. I'm also with Kinley Horn, and I'm mainly here to monitor the chat if anyone has any questions during David's presentation. So you can throw in a question or wait till the end or come off mute.
Great. Thank you, Lan. So we'll start with what is traffic calming. The traffic calming program focuses on residential streets, so you won't find speed cushions or any of the measures we're talking about here tonight on kind of the Nolensville Pikes or any major collector roads or roads with a lot of businesses on them. This is truly intended for neighborhoods and really just slowing down cars, as they're going through the residential areas, such as yours. The primary goal is speed reduction. There's a few reasons for that. The 3 E's of traffic calming are some of them. We do education. That's like a meeting we're having here now, where basically we are informing members of the public what traffic calming is and why we do it. There's also enforcement. That is only the jurisdiction of our partners in the police department. So NDOT does not have a lot of tools to do enforcement, but we work closely with the police to help keep speeds low. And what NDOT can do a lot of is engineering. So primarily that's what we're talking about here tonight. We'll show you the design that we've done. We sort of talked about a concept in meeting 1, and hopefully get any input that anyone might have to offer about what we're proposing. So like I alluded to earlier, the primary goal of traffic calming is speed reduction. So the reason for that is pedestrian fatalities and injuries become much more likely at high speeds. So you can see this infographic over here. At 25 miles an hour, somebody who gets hit has a pretty good chance of surviving, but that tends to go way down once speeds creep up above 35 and 45 miles an hour. So we know that people have been speeding on your street. We collect data. That's how Ransom Place got selected to be a part of the program. So we're hoping by implementing the solutions available to us, we can really cut that down and ultimately make everyone in the neighborhood more safe. So this is a program that's in high demand. We kind of show this slide to just emphasize that a lot of neighborhoods in Nashville could use some traffic calming. Over, I think the number is now north of 500 streets have applied. And in the winter 2023 selection period, Ransom Place was one of 26. So we're very happy to be able to be addressing the problems on your street. But it is also underscoring that, you all really do need it. We noticed some pretty serious speeds and volumes on Ransom Place. So that's a little bit about what traffic calming is. There's a lot of things that traffic calming isn't. So for sidewalks, really any like problems with the right of way, potholes, down trees, just about anything can be routed through Hub Nashville. They have a phone number, that's 311. I find the app is easiest to use. They've got a pretty good interface that will get you connected with whoever in Metro, can help solve a problem. So just want to make sure everyone is aware of that resource. It's very helpful. So this is Ransom Place. Need to go back just here. There we go. So this is a map of Ransom Place. This is actually a screenshot from NDOT's traffic calming tracker. Green means you've been selected, but nothing has been installed yet. Purple means you've applied, but have not been selected. So you've got a couple other streets in your neck of the woods that have asked for traffic calming, and hopefully in future cycles we'll select them and ultimately put them in. So in meeting one, we talked about a lot of different traffic calming measures that might be chosen that are in the toolkit. Today, we're just going to focus on the ones that we have analyzed as being the most appropriate for this street. And unsurprisingly, that is speed cushions. Many people who are familiar with the program know that these are pretty much the default measure for traffic calming in Nashville. There's a few reasons for that. They're very uniform, quick to install, and most importantly, we found that they just really do work. So we can see that the vertical measures, as NDOT has observed with some limited studies they've done, they show a pretty significant decrease in speed, both in the average and the 85th percentile, which is a statistical measure that kind of helps to isolate the higher speed vehicles and really zero in on those. I guess that would be a good time to kind of just stop, pause for questions. Does anyone want more information about what we reviewed, or have questions that aren't specific to the Ransom Place design?
I got some things in the chat. So I'm just kind of wondering where this data was, like how we collected it, when it was collected, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what NDOT will do is place, well, they have a traffic counting consultant that will take counts. Those are like tubes in the road, so people drive over them. And then they also measure the speed for a period of time. These would have been measured in the 6-month period after the application. So I don't remember off the top of my head if Ransom applied immediately before being selected or if they were in the queue, but the data
we've been in the queue for a couple of years, at least 2 years.
Okay, so I suspect that the counts would have been done for Ransom Place, roughly after that. So maybe about 1.5 years ago or so.
Yeah, another question I have. I get reports from other neighborhoods saying that there are some, I guess some of the riskier or more risque ones, youngsters, that these buffers or cushions aren't slowing them down. Have you seen any of that or had any of that reported to you?
Yeah, so there's a range of effectiveness. The reason why we do cushions instead of like larger speed humps or tables is so that we have a minimal impact on emergency vehicles. So if somebody chooses to drive a vehicle that is, about as large as an ambulance or, God forbid, a fire truck, they wouldn't be quite as affected as this. But we do see that on average, speeds are lower. And I guess certainly, if somebody was really willing to, I guess, compromise their comfort while driving, there's nothing that will, like, they slow you down by causing a physical barrier, but that can
Yeah,
only
I understand that. That's a good answer. I just know that the ones that are doing that are the younger ones that really kind of don't care, and I'm sure they don't go over it as fast as they normally would have, but I've heard accounts of that, so I
yeah,
understand.
I know. I wish we could arrive at a physical solution that definitely slowed down everyone to the speed limit, but I think that these they're a good product, and they've been designed
Yeah.
with pretty specific goals in mind. And I think in general they do work. I mean, you obviously can't change everybody, but overall we should be experiencing lower speeds.
Right. Okay.
Anyone else before we dig into the design?
Just one other follow-up. Do you have the average speed of like people driving down our road?
We do. It would be in the meeting one presentation, because I think we maybe cut that out for time since we've gone, but I can follow up if you'd like and let you know.
I mean, if it's on your the YouTube, if you guys recorded it last time, I know I wasn't on last meeting.
Okay.
So I can look it up if it's on the YouTube channel.
Got it. Yeah, and it's based on the difference between the speed limit and actual speeds. So most of the streets selected were in the average was in the upper 30s, I think. And then some were, like major outliers, north of 40 and stuff. But I think Ransom Place was in the upper 30s for average speed. All right, I'll go ahead and move on. So last time we were together, we presented a concept plan, looked kind of like this. These are the design plans, so we'll hand these off to the contractor, and this is what they'll build. But as an overview, we're proposing 3 sets of cushions. One was specifically requested down here because it is the kind of straightest and widest portion of the road. We got reports from neighbors that people were using it as like a true drag strip of sorts. And then we usually shoot for a spacing between 400 and 600 feet. That's a recommendation developed by the Federal Highway Administration, and NDOT has found that it's generally worked pretty well for most neighborhoods. There used to be another cushion proposed up here. That was actually eliminated from the design because we heard feedback that neighbors were not particularly worried about this section, and the volumes were really low. Basically, just the few people on Elderberry Court in these houses here are on that section. So really the cut through traffic is what we're generally focused on. The next few pages are just kind of more details. So we show exactly where we're proposing to place them. Take note that we've got the addresses of the houses that are nearby. So if you have a question about, how close is it to your driveway, or something like that, we can dig in. Feel free to just raise your hand or speak up if you got a particular question.
Where's the middle one? That second one. Where's that located?
This middle one is 35 feet east of the driveway at 2013 Ransom Place. It's probably pretty clear to everyone, but these are not actual size. So they'll be much smaller, and they won't be like overlapping anyone's driveway or anything like that. And then in general, we can't always do this, but we try to find kind of the edges of property lines. We don't like to, place these directly in front of someone's house if it can be avoided. Thankfully here, we were able to sort of split the difference and not get too heavily into anyone's way. And then you'll notice down here, we actually have not 3 cushions like we do over here, but 4. As you all know, that's because Ransom Place widens out quite a bit as it approaches Murfreesboro Pike. So we've taken measures to make sure that people won't have the ability to drive around the cushions, which we'll sometimes see if people are given the opportunity. These are just details. This is like what it would look like if you were directly above the cushions. Nothing too tricky to get into here. Sometimes there's more to talk about, but this is a pretty standard configuration that we use for these cushions. Happy to answer any questions if you have them, but I don't assume that this would come as a huge surprise to anyone.
Yeah, it is a surprise to me that they're 10 feet long.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot when you're thinking on the human scale. But the 3 options for speed cushions are 7 feet. That's just 2 units, 10.5 feet, and 14. So 14 is usually reserved for roads that are collectors and maybe have like a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit. 10.5 is what we use, when it is a local road and generally shooting for lower speeds.
Well, good.
So that's it on the design. Any other feedback, questions? Happy to backtrack and look at anything closer. Or if not, we can move on to.
Yeah, you mentioned about the enforcement. You have help from Metro, from the police. Can we do anything to facilitate that as an HOA?
I think that Hub Nashville is probably the best way. We don't have through NDOT any like conduit to request like speed enforcement.
Right. Okay.
They are unfortunately stretched pretty thin. So oftentimes there isn't staff to visit neighborhoods and kind of set speed traps and things like that, which is where we like to come in and put in permanent solutions that physically slow down cars.
Okay.
Cool. So we'll kind of just go over this flow chart. You all probably remember some of this section. The application is how you get into the program. There actually is an application open now. I believe it closes in a couple weeks. So feel free to reach out to any of your friends or anyone else that might be experiencing speeding and may not know what to do about it. There is an open opportunity to apply to be in the next cycle. And then we talked about this a little earlier. After applications come in, we put all the infrastructure in place and get set up to collect a lot of data about speeds and volumes and evaluating every application to make sure it's a good candidate. We've had meeting 1. That was a couple months ago. That was when we went over the concept, got a lot of really good feedback from the neighborhood. That's how we arrived at the design we have today. And then today is meeting 2. So everyone who lives on Ransom Place should have gotten a mailer in their mailbox with the link to this WebEx. We've seen the final concept, and now we're going to discuss the next steps. So next is the online ballot. This is relatively new in NDOT's procedures, like the last couple of years. So previously there was a petition system. It sounds like you all have sort of done an informal petition of sorts just to verify that folks are in support of it. So that was good. We're glad that you all put that effort in. And now we just need to get it on the books. So this is kind of what the ballot will look like up in the top left corner. That's the back of the postcard that we're going to send. Essentially, you'll go to the QR code or follow the link, and on the postcard there will be a unique ID. You'll just enter your name, that ID, into the online form, and then say, yes or no. So voting should be pretty accessible, but we also have a phone number for somebody at NDOT who can help anyone who would prefer to vote over the phone. So online or this number that's on the postcard will be just fine. It'll be successful if 66% of the people who vote in favor. So, if we get 3 votes and 2 of them are yes, the project moves forward. If 4 people vote and 2 vote no, then it's a no. So it doesn't depend on getting like enough of the neighbors to vote as it has previously. It's purely a measure of the percentage of people who do vote, just like regular elections.
Dave?
Yeah.
I think they have adjusted the success vote to 60%. And don't hold that to me. I'm going by memory at my meeting yesterday, but I think that's what Diana said at NDOT.
Oh,
So
interesting.
They may have just dropped that threshold a little lower.
Yeah, that's certainly news to me. It may apply to the next round of selections. It gets a little squirrely because you may imagine if this was a kind of a neighborhood that was less enthused about such things, there are people who get pretty I guess sensitive about changing the rules on them. So
I'll tell you, as someone who lives at the end of the street, I'm not happy about the speed bumps coming through.
Got it. Are you closer to the west side of Ransom Place?
I am the very last house on our street.
Got it.
So I'm gonna have to go through 3 speed bumps to get to my house. So I'm not excited about this.
Understood. Yeah, I think that there's not a lot we could do about the design that will make that less of a burden to you. But anyone is always welcome to vote no. We understand that there are mixed feelings about this program, and we do want everyone to have a voice. And I apologize for presuming that everyone here was in support. A little about the ballot zone. So the way that the voting works is everyone who owns a residential property adjacent to the right-of-way gets one vote toward the program. So if you had, one person that owned 10 of these houses, they would get to vote once. Vacant land doesn't vote. So you can see we've got this kind of HOA parcel here that'll just be unaccounted for, and then private businesses do not vote in residential traffic calming projects. Any questions about the ballot eligibility? It's fairly cut and dry here. The only slightly complicated area are these condos. We didn't see a lot of participation from them in meeting 1 or meeting 2, so I'm not convinced that they'll have strong opinions, particularly since they won't really be interacting with the cushions themselves. But there are adjacent to the right-of-way. So next steps, this is going to be kind of vague in terms of timelines. but basically after the postcards get sent out, that'll be in the next week or so, we'll have the ballot open for a period of 6 weeks. So we'll have the date that ballots are due by on that postcard, so you know when you need to vote. It's been requested that we give the HOA a heads up when we send the ballots. I'm happy to do that. So look for an email from me, and we'll hope it gets passed around. And then NDOT will order the materials and eventually install the cushions. There is quite a backlog in projects. You know, we've been very busy catching up with the program, everything that we've designed. So it won't be immediately, but should the ballot be successful, NDOT will begin the process of getting these installed. And then any final questions? Happy to stay on here as long as anyone would like. And if you think of any later on, feel free to email the traffic calming email that's at the top, or me personally. That's also fine. Happy to answer anything. Cool. Well, it sounds like we don't have a lot of questions. Thank you all so much for your time. We really do appreciate when people come to these meetings. It's definitely valuable to get any feedback about the design, about the program. We're just really glad that you all participated, and you know, we'll be excited to get out some ballots to the neighbors here.
One other question, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, no, take your
So it's been like finalized that there's gonna be 3 speed bumps. That's kind of like the final decision. It's not, we can't like negotiate any of the other
so
bumps.
the majority of the ability to change the design is between meeting 1 and meeting 2. So we had a slightly different concept with more speed cushions actually that was presented at meeting 1. If there are notable reasons to change the concept, and I guess that's a pretty untransparent term, trying to think of some examples, but like something that, you know, we weren't aware of, or you know, anything can come up. There is an opportunity.
Can I say something on that, Dave?
Sure,
the HOA did send out a ballot, if you will, telling about the footprints that we selected, and this was months and months ago, and as you say, there were actually more that we had suggested, and it was cut down to 3. So we've been trying to get in touch with the members of the neighborhood, and it's like it is now. There was not very much or any response, but we have been contacting them. So
21 out of 22 along Ransom Place, which is 95%, I think, voted for, they were fine with the original, which had 2 before you even enter into the subdivision, and then 3,
right,
you know, after you get past the 4-way stop. So, you know, that was, you know, a huge positive response. And I think a lot of people had lived through a lot of excessive, ridiculous speeding, and they just kind of got sick of it. So they probably would have been willing to do about anything to stop it at the time. And, you know, 3 will hopefully do the job.
Yeah,
it'll certainly help.
And we welcome people to say no, we don't like it. It's okay to vote no, and you know, that's just how this works. We live in a democracy, and even the HOA is a democracy when it comes to this kind of stuff. So, you know, we listen. So it's okay.
Yeah.
So Allison, it's okay for you to say no.
I think we were probably the one that did say no the first time.
That's okay. We still like you anyway. It's all right.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really likes speed bumps, but
No.
it's been ridiculous, the traffic we've been getting.
Yeah.
down
And I'm
closer
sure
to.
just from living at the end of the street, I don't see a lot of the speeding. I see a lot of the people who turn around at my driveway.
Right.
So
And we understand that too. But they're driving them crazy on Olive Circle at the other neighborhood. And
Yep.
as soon as we put these in, they're going to stay over there and make it worse.
yes.
But they won't be coming down our streets.
Well, make sure everyone's aware they can apply if
Yeah, we told them, I think they probably put an application in for Olive. Because it's
Excellent.
really an offshoot of that 2,475 cars per day that we saw too. It's sort of a combo, I bet.
excellent. Great. Well, did that address everyone's questions, or do we? Like I said, I'm happy to stay on here as long as everyone would like.
I'm good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Great. Well, once again, thank you everyone for your time. And then I'll send this recording to NDOT, and they'll post it to the website shortly. So if anyone wanted to come to the meeting but couldn't, we'll be able to get it shared with them as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Of course.
Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Have a good day.